Hello, everybody, and welcome to day 2 of SciPy's Lightning Talks.
Hello.
Is that all you have to say?
So yeah, don't worry. I'm not going to make any bad puns again today.
What? Wow, what a split personality audience we have. Boos and claps.
Yeah. Oh, I think that was still for the projector. That must have been for the projector. Okay.
Which happens to be working. So today we're actually...
Wait, who are you?
I don't know. Today we're going to switch up the format just a little. So we have a very special presenter right at the top here. So Stefan will be kicking off the talk with the day with a little chat about the book, his book, et al. And at the diversity luncheon today, a number of people signed up for talks. So one of the things that we'll be doing for the rest of the time for the Lightning Talks this year is interweaving people who signed up at the diversity luncheon and the normal list. So I apologize if you were at the end and you end up getting booted off because of that. But I think it's important, and so that's what we'll be doing, and it should be a lot of fun. So right after Stefan, Lorena will be giving her lightning talk. So, and I know she's around, but perhaps not quite in the room yet. So, all right. Anything else, Paul?
No.
Wasn't a pun, at least.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good to see all of you here.
Mike, yeah.
Face it.
What?
That mic.
Face it. Yeah.
Fix it.
No,
talk
into it.
Oh, talk into the mic. I see.
Yeah. That's how mics work.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Good to see all of you here. I hope you're having a great time at SciPy. I'm really excited to be able to announce the release of our book, Elegant SciPy, this year. We're going to be raffling out 25 copies of the book this afternoon. So if you want to enter, if you haven't entered yet, the URL's on the board, bit.ly/elegantscipy. If you go there, it's a GitHub issue. Just make a comment, bonus point for jokes, but just make any comment on there, and we'll raffle out the book soon. The book will be available in a few weeks from now, so hopefully in August 2017. You can already get access to the book. It's available for free at on GitHub at the Elegant SciPy repository. And we also have the book's available in various formats. You can download it in Markdown, you can download it HTML, and you can download it as executable Jupyter notebooks at the URL given, elegantscipy/notebooks. The code text is CC by NCND, except that we have the exception that you're allowed to use it for teaching, so please do that. And all the code is BSD, so you can use it in your own work as you see fit. The book itself will be available from online retailers, and the digital copy you can get from ebooks.com, Kobo, etc. I would have to mention here that I would recommend you don't buy it from Amazon. Amazon doesn't sell you ebooks, they lease you ebooks. I'm happy to talk more about that. And finally, I just want to mention to content authors, if you are considering doing videos and material for publishers, please consider the needs of the community first, and do not let publishers exploit all the hard volunteer work of this amazing community. You all do great work, and I think we deserve to have a lot of free material out there. All right, so I'll show you the table of contents quickly. You can see that we talk a little bit about NumPy. We show a whole bunch of the different SciPy modules. We talk about image processing. We talk about the fast Fourier transform in quite some detail, sparse matrices, linear algebra, function optimization, and even a bit of streaming data. Tons of examples. We try to solicit the best code examples from the community. We discuss those examples, explain to you how they work, and hopefully we will inspire you to write some elegant code of your own. All right. So with that, I think we can hand out a few books. So let's see if this works. Live demos.
And I think you have to be present to win.
All right, let's see if we can fix this. Oh, I might have to come back for that.
Forbidden.
I don't think they want me to give away the books.
Does everyone get a book?
What?
Gonna have to show us the password as the comment from the audience.
The peanut gallery.
Yeah.
You're really trying not to pun, are you? Aren't you?
It's so hard. It's so hard.
Yeah. I don't know how to fix that right now, so I'll have to come back maybe in. Oh yeah, that could be. Seems to be fine. Yeah. Okay. I'll fix that quickly, and I'll be back in a little bit. Sorry about that.
All right.
All right, the forbidden lightning talk. Next up, we have Lorena. And then after Lorena, Daniel Smith. Are you here again? There we go.
So let me try this one on for size. So Stefan's mentioned that the license is rather permissive, but that you can raise a teaching exception. Yeah.
Sit down.
I knew I was going to catch flack for that one. Catch flack, get it? Try catch exception? No? Python? Anyone?
May I?
Go.
I have no slides, so no stress. This is my first opportunity to actually talk to all of you in the conference. I have the very great pleasure to serve this conference as programs co-chair, together with Gail Forsyth over here. And I'm also one of the founding members, one of the founding editors of the Journal of Open Source Software, which you've heard about in this conference. This is the very first talk. Thanks, Katie, for the mention. And just a little while ago, there was a presentation about the Journal of Open Source Software by Kyle, very ably presented there. And as he announced, and we've announced on Twitter, we have a paper about JAWS on archive right now. So the preprint is on archive, and we are submitting that paper to another respectable journal that we hope will receive that, to learn about this new experiment in publication that seeks to reward the contributions to science that are made in the form of software by many of you. In that article, towards the end, in the conclusion, we say that the tooling that was built to support JAWS, like the website and the Whedon bot that handles a lot of the editorial tasks through commands on GitHub issues. All of those tools were built to support JAWS as a completely open journal that is built around volunteer effort. But we may have stumbled in a model that is generalizable to perhaps other journals. So in these past 3 days, in fact, through conversations that happened in the hallways here, we've created a new journal. It's called the Journal of Open Source Education, and the purpose of this new journal, Jose, is to, in parallel to the purpose of JAWS, that is to give credit to people who contribute to science and scholarship through software, this journal wants to give credit to those who contribute to the scholarship through educational materials in the form of perhaps a collection of Jupyter notebooks that form a module that you have used maybe in a tutorial in this very conference, or that you have used in a course and you've created going beyond what is expected for just writing a course in the expectations of most of research-intensive universities. Or maybe some piece of software that you've written for the purpose of becoming infrastructure for education. And I'm thinking of some of the tools that have been presented here and in previous years of SciPy, things like, well, I won't mention because then it's pressure for the authors. Tools that perhaps can be used as an open source alternative for learning management systems, for auto-grading, for supporting students in collaboration. So that is the infrastructure of education that we want to also bring to the 21st century, and to use open source tools. So we wanted to share this. It's completely improvised. We've done, but it's actually, there's a repo now. We're writing the about as we speak, and we're going to be cloning the tools for automating the review system, and writing review criteria for this new type of submissions. And if you think about it, suffers the same type of fate that software has suffered in academia, where if you write a substantial amount of open educational materials, perhaps using code, these things are not really rewarded. So look forward to some announcements online. Some of the people in the room have already volunteered to be in the founding editorial board of this new journal, and we will be seeking your contributions. Many of the materials that you've created for tutorials in SciPy would be immediately eligible, and would benefit perhaps from some feedback from your peers to improve the quality and also have a platform to be disseminated. So that's it, an announcement, and I hope that you will be part of this new venture in publication of your contributions. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorena.
We're going to give this another
okay,
shot.
are we going to go?
Keep trying until it works.
It might keep accepting until it works too.
Okay, let's give this another shot. I forgot to mention that O'Reilly's closing their online bookstore, for those of you who haven't noticed. So talk to me about that. Let's see.
Dun da da dun da da dun da dun da dun dun da da dun da da dun da dun 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 da da dun da dun da da dun.
Wow, your modem's really slow.
Ba-dum.
Ba-donk.
Is this running R?
Please just let me know if you're here so I can pick 25 people. Okay, gotcha. One.
Aaron?
Ooh, Aaron.
John?
Yeah. You can come and fetch your books up here. Right.
I don't even want it.
Yay. Oh.
Totally rigged.
Is this person here?
Yeah, come on up.
Okay, come on up.
Go.
You're going to sign it.
You can
Yeah,
do like
we'll
a
sign
woo
it during
if
the
it's
lightning
you.
talk,
You
too.
can
He'll
do
be
like,
very
woo!
fast.
If it's you, you go,
Look,
woo!
where is he here?
And then we know. Or I'll just keep going, woo!
Is this person here?
Luca Rizzi.
Nope.
Not here.
Okay.
Wah.
Leo?
Yay.
Yes. Nice.
JCFR.
Nice. And just to clarify, you don't have to know how to read to get a book. Is that right? Just asking for a friend. Woo! You can have a dash at the end of your GitHub.
Yeah, wow, that's impressive.
Today I
Learning
learned.
all about Twitter today.
That's not Twitter.
Wait, isn't this Twitter?
This is GitHub.
Oh, this is GitHub.
I guess you're not getting a book.
I'm learning all about Twitter.
That's a nice name. I just want to know who that is. I guess you have to fess up to your name now. Getting down to the wire.
Let's bring Hiker. I know he's here. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Yeah.
Someone didn't collect, so.
All right. Congratulations
All right.
to all. Time to add dashes to the
everyone.
end of our names. But,
Yeah.
all right. Thanks,
Wait,
Stefan.
what? You should have told us the hashing algorithm you're going to use to randomize.
I will publish the code on just now, and you can review it.
I mean, it's a little too late, right? Unless you plan to retract the books.
All right. So after Daniel, we have Megan Lang. I know I've seen. Yep. Good.
Are we going to work?
Is that the new Mac?
Yeah, new Mac.
We were told that this is the port you should use on the new Mac. Yeah, we figured out that if you're looking down on your new Mac, the bottom left port is the preferential port for presentations. At least that was the theory.
Let's try.
The other one?
We're detecting. Do you have VGA?
No, we don't have a VGA.
This thing too?
No, this is just a.
Yeah, this is just a Thunderbolt. Yeah.
Is it detecting it at all?
Yeah, it's not doing anything. Yeah.
Make a joke about apples or something.
Yeah.
Make a joke about apples or something.
So apparently I should not have upgraded.
Next time, just use a Mac. They just work.
Okay.
Wah, wah.
Yeah, I guess I'll go without slides. Basically, what I want to say is I'm part of a new NSF institute. We're called the Molecular Software Sciences Institute. We're actually a brand new type of institute from the NSF, where we actually have nothing to do with research, and we're completely focused on software. And interestingly, this particular institute, everything we build has to be OSI open source software, which is actually new. So open source inside academia can mean a lot of things, but here we're actually guaranteed to build this open source software. We're actually dealing with the computational molecular sciences community, so anything like quantum mechanics or material science or even molecular dynamics and the like is really where we're focusing on. This is a fairly large project, so we have about $20 million over 5 years, potentially renewable to 10. So with that, we're going to actually, have about 20 to 30 people that we're going to actively hire and have working on our open source projects. What I find interesting is that if I look through the kind of things that we're interested in, we want to do interoperability, best practices. We want to have summer schools and training. We actually do some HPC code optimization, architecture, and the like. But then again, we come back to the Python community with like accessibility workflows and the like. So we resonate very strongly with the scientific Python community. And mostly what I want to say is get up here and tell you that we exist. I've talked to quite a few of you about these topics. If this is something that's interesting to you, I think you should get in contact with us. And the most thing I want to get apart is we're actually hiring. So we're not only just hiring chemists or anything in our field, but we're also hiring lots of people in the math and computer science field as well. So these are research faculty level positions, so they're actually really good positions. If you're interested in any of this, if you want to talk to me, please get in touch, or you can find us at molssi.org, molssi.org. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Daniel. It does make sense that the Thunderbolt connector breaks on during lightning talks. I'm just going to say that. After Megan, we have Tobias Schrank. Are you here? Boop, boop. Yes? Okay. Great.
I was going to make another lightning joke, but my throat's a little Thor.
It's hammer time.
All right. I'm Megan Lang. I am a research scientist at the University of Illinois. My background is actually in astronomy, but today I'm talking about two packages I've worked on in support of my research, but can be used, I think, by many people doing research. They are SciKDTree and cgal4pi. SciKDTree is a package for building KD trees. So for those not familiar, KD-tree is a structure where you can divide up points in a domain in any number of dimensions continually until you have some number of points in each leaf. And KD-trees are particularly useful if you want to load balance by decomposing the domain so that you have the same number of points on each processor. Also for neighbor searches and range searches. So you can have applications in many different fields. So the package SciKDTree is completely open source. It has tests and some documentation which does need to be improved. You can pip install SciKDTree and cond install from my channel. It's a C++ core wrapped in Python. You can do KD trees in any number of dimensions. It is parallelized using MPI at the C++ level. But I'm working on improving the scaling by changing up the way it's parallelized. And it's also going to be used in an upcoming release of YT for SPH particle neighbor searches. And Nathan Goldbaum, I don't know where he is, but he's done a lot of work to add features to SciKDTree to make that happen. The second package I want to talk about is cgal4pi. cgal4pi is a package for doing Delaunay triangulations. So if you're not familiar, Delaunay triangulations can be done in any number of dimensions, but in 2 dimensions you take set of points and you form triangles out of them, and each triangle has a circumcircle that doesn't intercept any other points or doesn't contain any other points besides the 3. And you can continue doing this, and it's a way of dividing up the domain between a set of points, and then you can get densities associated with those points. And then the dual graph, which is an example on my slide, is Voronoi. And both of these graphs, Delaunay triangulations and Voronoi tessellations, are great for reconstructing continuous distributions from a sample of points. They can also be used for neighbor searches and doing clustering studies. So the cgal4pi package is also open source and has documentation. You can pip install it. It is a Python wrapped implementation with the cgal libraries for Delaunay triangulations. It supports any number of dimensions and has access to the underlying C++ classes in Python for vertices, edges, faces, and cells in the actual graph. It is parallelized using MPI for pi and a SciKDTree domain decomposition. But there is work, once I get the SciKDTree parallelization working better, that it will be even faster. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Megan, for the pointed talk. All right. Next up, we have Tobias, and after Tobias, we have Prabhu. Okay, perfect.
If you find my puns Voronoi, you might be a K-mean audience.
Ooh. Well, you broke the seal well there on the puns. We've got a comment from the audience.
We can't repeat that. This is recorded.
All right, let's pick this up. Hi, I'm Toby.
Hi, Toby.
Hi, Toby.
Oh, that went way better than I thought it would.
Cricket
Let's
sounds.
skip that. Okay, so this is me. I'm a biologist, recently turned genomicist, and I work at the Institute for Computational Medicine at NYU. Join us. We're lonely. We're only one lab. I'm easily hyped about Python packages, especially when it comes to visualization. And my handle is TableSecret. And I have a problem. I'm curious. I'm curious about bacteria and their genomes. And I don't like looking at numbers super much. And so I wanted to build basically a dashboard to take in a new genome when I get it off the cluster, just to look at some basic properties of it, and just build a nice little dashboard in Bokeh. And our colleagues in the R world are a little bit ahead of us in that space. They use a lot of Shiny, they use a lot of Bokeh, Plotly. And I just want to encourage all the genomicists in the room to use Bokeh and Plotly and Dash more often and build more interactive visualizations. They can sometimes really shortcut your insights. And Bokeh is really not that scary. You just instantiate a figure, you add some glyphs, and then maybe you add some extras like a color bar, or if you need interactions that require callbacks, you will need to add those as well. Let's look at a small dashboard that I built. Demo time. Yeah, so this is just a bacterial genome. They're circles, basically. And I just chunked it up into small little bits and calculated it's called the melting temperature of each of those bits. And you can see I have a nice little color bar here on the right that tells you what each of these colors means. And you can sort of hover nicely over it, and it tells you sort of which position in the genome we're looking at. And you see this is kind of a boring genome. Not like a crap ton of structure here. But you see there's this like really bright spot here. So let's take a look at that. And let's see what's going on there. Oopsie. Not bad. Yep. Don't leave me alone now. Okay, there we go. All right, so added in some annotations. And we can see, oh, those are PE family proteins. And for those in the genomics world, they will know that these are proline and glutamates, and they happen to be pretty GC-rich codons, and so it makes sense. And in the bacterium that this is Mycobacterium tuberculosis, pretty scary. These are actually quite an important family. So it was really easy to just look at the genome and see, oh, those are there. And I built a second part of that same dashboard. And let's look at that for a second. And yeah, that's just a nice little scatter plot, isoelectric point against instability index. And these are all the proteins in that genome, in that same genome. And you can hover over them, and it tells you their name and how long they are. And here we see, oh, this one got a lot of valine and glycine and alanine. So that's, valine, glycine, and alanine, and valine. And so there's probably a membrane protein. And it's really easy to see, and you can do box selects and get really nice updates also in real time. So you can really do a lot of cool things, and it's much more tangible, I think. And that's pretty much it already. Wait. So if you are also passionate about visualizations and you want to talk to me about this, or maybe have some suggestions, come find me afterwards. This is all on GitHub, so please come join me. Thank you.
Thanks, Toby. My only suggestion is that you should have used Jet for your color map. Right now we have Prabhu, and then after Prabhu, Horea Christian? Great, thanks.
And I was going to make a bokeh joke, but I couldn't focus.
All right, this was supposed to be self-deprecatory. I'm supposed to be the old dog. I'm very conscious of my newly acquired gray hairs. So I don't mean offense to anyone. So I teach a lot. And I've acquired a huge number of tech files. We all make presentations, right? And the older you are, the more presentations you make with tech, with LaTeX. Not a lot of us use Reveal. So I have a pile of these slides. So I built a couple of useful Jupyter notebook tools that allow me to learn some new tricks. So the first of these is what I call TechToIPi. It's available from there. So what it lets you do is it converts Beamer slides to Jupyter notebooks. And it works with Rise, so which gives you Reveal.js in notebooks. And these slides are also made with that. So this is really nice because you can easily install it, pip install TechToIPi, or you can check it out. You can take a tech file and convert it to a IPython notebook. And obviously, it's not going to cover all your macros. So it covers some subset of macros that I use very often. And then if you really want to customize it, you can add a little Python file, pass it along, and it'll convert those macros as well that you want. So maybe I'll show you a quick demo. So here's my sample.tech. Is that big enough? All right. Some sample tech. There is some inline code. There is some media. There are some images, some URLs and stuff. So if I look at it, it should look like that. Look something like that. It's a math. And some code, some images, and there's a media file there, but it doesn't show properly on PDFs, and that's a big problem. But anyway, let's see what we can do. So if I run TechToIPi, sample.tech to sample. Sorry about that. And let's go back if I can. There you go. These tools, I tell you. Okay, so there we have our sample.ipynb. I use Rise. And so there was actually a section in that tech file. So there's math, the math is translated. There's a pause, so you can do fragments. You can have code cells, numbered lists, so on and so forth. Images, they actually work here. Oh, and there's a movie here, so and it works. It's pretty nice. It should work with local movies as well. Of course, your browser needs to support the media. So yeah, that's the first of the tools. So let's get back to my actual presentation. I'm not done yet. The next one was IPyYAML. So we all edit our Jupyter notebooks on a browser. And I don't like to edit stuff on the browser. I like to edit stuff on my editor, which is usually Emacs or Vim or sometimes a combination of the two. I found it painful to edit the JSON files. So I wrote a little tool to help me do that. There's prior art. Someone's written note down, but that goes one way. Cyril has written IPyMD, which does partially, you can convert Markdown to IPython notebooks and vice versa. But what I've done is I've used YAML instead, which gives us complete compatibility with notebooks, which means you don't lose any information but that information is optional. So if you have images and stuff embedded, it pushes it to the bottom of your file. You can delete it if you don't want it, and it still works. But you can also retain those images. So it basically allows you to have optional outputs. Again, pip install IPyYAML, stick in that one line in your Jupyter Notebook config, and it'll basically load these files up. You can run it this way.
And thank you, Prabhu.
Try it out.
All right, up next we have Horea Christian, and then after him,
Oh my, do you guys have, yeah.
this is what we have. After him we have Bhargavi Krishna. Are you around and available? Yes, no. Okay. Then instead, we will have Matt Craig, who I know is around somewhere. Yes? Yeah, okay, great, thanks.
Okay. Cool. So, my name's Christian, and I'm a neuroscientist and a molecular cell biologist. I'm also a contributor to a number of free and open source projects, including a few Python projects and the amazing Gentoo Linux distribution. And something else which I feel very deeply about is freedom and open source in publishing. So I'm going to talk to you briefly about reproducible self-publishing. Reproducible has become a bit of a buzzword, but I think the highest level which you can hope to get at from the point of view of reproducibility is to have a reproducible publication, simply because very often this is how you communicate, and ideally you would be able to pull the communication tool, the presentation locally, and edit something in there to see if you can look at the results differently given the analysis tools and the data which are either shared or made implicitly, like uniquely identifiable. It's a bit of a hot topic. Some people have already been working on things like these, and they've been calling them re-executable publications. I think it's maybe not yet necessary to balkanize the word reproducible, but anyway, there we have it. And this is a recent publication, which I think is very good. And just let me drag it to the screen. There we go. Yeah. So it's in F1000, it's like the 1000 functional connectomes, and if you can see the title here, well, you can't. Anyway, it's about publishing a paper which is re-executable given the code and data which is free and open source. I've been doing the same with very many of my presentation tools, including my master's thesis a number of years ago, posters, presentations, and so on. Here's like a brief example of that. Yeah. There we go. This is a poster I presented at another conference not long ago, and all of the figures here, except the histological figures in the first panel, are automatically generated from Python functions, which are tracked along with the document and placed inside, so that whenever I recompile the LaTeX document, the Python code gets called again, and the figures get updated to the newest status. The way this looks like is very, very simple, actually. Have a look here. Okay, this is a bit squeezed in. Anyway, on this line, I import, so to say, a figure from this container with this identifier, and the code, the Python code, is tracked in a separate module here. The software which I use for this is Python Tech, which I didn't write myself. It's written by Geoffrey Poor, who is here with us today. Are you here in the room, Geoffrey? Over there. So if you feel you want to give him a round of applause, please do, because the software is amazing. And basically what we're trying to do, and the reason I'm giving this lightning talk, and I hope he will find the time to give a short presentation as well, maybe tomorrow or before the sprints, is because we want to organize a sprint in which we take this infrastructure and we try to set up a repository where you have like your given Python functions which generate your amazing figures, which you can then typeset into different documents which you might want to share. Because this is a very common use case. You have your 5 or 6 killer figures which you want to present in a presentation to your colleagues, and maybe at a conference, in a poster at a conference, and maybe in an article draft. Ideally, you can manage the Python code, the content completely separately of the typesetting, and that's what we're looking to achieve. And if you'd like to join us for the sprints, I'd be very, very happy if you do. And that's about it.
Thank you. All right, so up next we have Matt. And then after Matt Craig, we have Jason Grout.
Sorry.
Jason. Oh, there we are. Okay. The phone shining in the distance. There's HDMI.
Can you guys read that? All right, that's my slide. I'll do a code demo in a minute. New this year, they seem to be drawing the Lightning Talk speakers in random order, so I was shocked to hear I was going to be speaking. Paul, shocked?
Oh.
It's always better when you explain it, I think, yeah.
That improves. Every
always
pun is better when you explain it. I agree.
I mean, that's what I find with my jokes.
So what I'm going to spend a couple of minutes let me introduce myself. My name is Matt Craig. I teach at a small public undergraduate-only university in Northwest Minnesota. I teach physics and astronomy. Our department decided several years ago that we wanted to introduce programming to our students as early in their careers as possible. And so in the first semester of the physics courses that we teach for the calculus-based one for majors and non-majors, we introduced Python. The very first week in lab, they're doing a little bit of Python. We use a package called vPython. So you're not missing anything here at the command line. It just says Python and then the name of the directory. So I run that, browser window gets opened, and I'll show you in a second, I'll show you the code for this. In the browser, you can rotate the objects you're looking at, zoom in, zoom out, and zoom in. Let's jump back and take a look at the code. I've talked for a while with the authors of vPython about whether to use this style, and they insist it's easier for newbies, so we go with it. Introducing objects in vPython is fairly easy. There are box objects, there's a sphere object, there's cubes. So you create the object with a position and a size if you want. You can set colors. And then for the physicists in the room, this will look familiar. We're setting up a mass and a momentum. And then down in the main loop, we just update the position attribute of the ball. And as an attribute's updated, it's automatically updated in the browser. To get people started easy, their very first semester, we don't actually have them install Python anymore because it was getting a little bit too painful the first week of classes. If you go to glowscript.org, you can do all this in a browser. So you make an account there by connecting to your Google account, and then you just type directly, let's go, into the browser. I understand that gets transpiled into JavaScript. I don't know JavaScript. I'm proud of it. To pick up the early one, I am an old dog and I'm not learning new tricks, sorry. Let's see here. So I'm just picking one more or less at random here. So one of the things I did this past fall was make a chart showing magnetic fields and a charged particle moving in the magnetic field. What you can't see too clearly in this is that the magnetic field strength is increasing as the particle speed increases to keep the radius the same. But with this, it was literally 10 minutes from they create an account to their typing code into a window, and they get a 3D visualization of that code by typing run this program. So if you want to try this, let me get the URLs back up here again. If you want to try this out and don't want a huge install overhead, use GlowScript. Otherwise, it is pip installable, it's conda installable. And I want to be clear, I'm not the one who did any of the hard work on this. I just use it and help package it. I think I'm done. Sorry, ended early.
Thanks, Matt. So what comes next? WPython? Isn't that? All right, Jason is up, and then after Jason, we'll have Henry. Is Henry around? Yeah. Oh,
Anthony,
great, thanks.
we'll see.
Ooh, I'm stepping down now. You can applaud.
Did you want applause for that?
No,
Is that
no.
what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I said. That's not
All right, it's up. Before I start, I want to give special thanks to many people that have worked in collaboration for Jupyter Lab, collaboration between Bloomberg and Project Jupyter and Continuum Analytics, including Chris Colbert, Steve Sylvester, Ashton Darien, Brian Granger, and a bunch of Cal Poly students, and many others, Ian Rose, et cetera. I'm Jason Grout, and I work at Bloomberg, and I've had the good fortune of spending a lot of time over the last few years working on Project Jupyter, including Jupyter Widgets and Jupyter Lab, and excited to talk about it today. So this is Jupyter Lab. It's a new environment that's coming out from Project Jupyter for doing computation, and what its goal is, there we go. Its goal is to bring together many tools in an extensible and performant and open source environment. We plan to release a beta in a few weeks, which should be usable for day-to-day work. You can see in this environment, you can create a new tab by clicking the plus or clicking the file new. You can create a new notebook with a specific kernel, a console, a terminal, or a text editor. The notebook is a completely new implementation of the same familiar notebook interface that we know and love. Here's an example from Jake's data science book. But since this is a complete rewrite, we've taken the opportunity to add a few things, such as collapsible cells and draggable cells. Yes, we've wanted those for a long time, too. But one of the things, since we have many tools in this environment, one of the things we wanted to enable in Jupyter Lab is collaboration between the tools. So you can right-click and create a new console for this notebook. This is talking to the same kernel. So what this enables you to do is, as you execute your code in your notebook, you have a log now of your execution in your console. And you can explore your environment in your console without messing up your notebook. Two tools talking to the same kernel under one platform that lets you collaborate between the tools. So next, does the applause count in my 5 minutes?
Yes.
Great, okay. So next is editors. We have many different editors. For example, here's a markdown file. Again, I can show a preview. We saw this last year at SciPy. We have a live preview. But we also want to be able to hook any editor up to a code console. And so here I can create a console for my editor. I can pick a kernel, or I already picked a kernel when I created a console when I was practicing. Shift-Enter sends my code directly to my console. So now I can check my examples very easily. Or if this was a Python file, I can check my library functions or my script. Often when we have many things open on the screen, we'd like to focus on one particular item. For example, this console. So we can enter what we call our single document mode by pressing Shift-Command-Enter. It blows up that single tab to the entire environment. I can work in that single environment. And then when I want to go back to the full layout, I can toggle the single document mode again. We have many different file types, of course, that we work with, and so we made Jupyter Lab as extensible. There's many different kinds of file viewers that we have, for example, images or maps with GeoJSON files. Last night, we had a conversation. We thought it would be cool to have a FASTA viewer in Jupyter Lab for our biologists. So in a half an hour and a couple of dozen lines of codes, we wrote a FASTA viewer. This wraps the MSA viewer. And with the same code, it also becomes a notebook extension to view FASTA files in a notebook as a rich output. Oh, I noticed that in my FASTA viewer, my top sequence is not aligned, so I can easily open this file in a different editor that's hooked to the same underlying model, and I can go ahead and align it here, and the viewer automatically updates. I can save, and I'm on my way.
Hold your applause. Just let him keep going.
We have a lot more to get through here. There's a lot of exciting things here. Another file format that we often work with are grid-based formats like CSV that we'd love to use a grid viewer for. For example, if we study burritos, we'd like to see our data set. This is using an alpha version of the Phosphor.js data grid component that Chris Colbert wrote as part of this JupyterLab collaboration. It can be used outside of JupyterLab, but it also works with bigger data sets. So for example, my big.csv here is 1.2 million rows, 200 megabyte CSV file. Excel can't even open it because it has a 2 to the 20th rows limitation and a 16K column limitation. It takes a few minutes or a few seconds to load 200 megabytes to the browser, but then it's smooth as butter scrolling through the entire 1.2 million rows. Chris has another example with 1 trillion rows and 1 trillion columns.
And
thanks, Chris.
some of us study tacos. So
that's it.
We're out of time.
Okay,
All
come
right,
talk to
thank
me more
you,
if you'd like.
Jason. You may now applaud. All right. Up now is Henry, and then after Henry for our last talk of the day will be Justin Mandalo. Are you around? Justin, there we are.
Hi, Deborah, can you hear me?
Hello, my name is Henry Senyendo from Ecology Lab at the University of Florida, and I love data.
Okay. Thank you.
I love science. I'm a software developer, and I develop tools.
Hello, can you hear me?
Scientists spend a lot of time trying to download data, collect data, and trying to clean it up to make it ready for analysis. And this takes a lot of time because if you look at the pipeline of research, it begins with acquiring data, cleaning it up. Sometimes we integrate this data, then put it in databases, visualize it, which has been part of the conference, and analyze it. If we could reduce the amount of time scientists spend on pre-processing the data, that means they have more time to focus on the research, apply cool science to the data, come up with good solutions, right? And we came up with a tool. It's called the data retriever. It's a pocket manager for your data. What it does, it searches for your data sets that you want to work on. It cleans them up, it downloads them for you, and it creates schemas for these data sets to install them into various database systems, right? Like Jean-Philippe said, let's go from ideas to results in 30 minutes. Isn't that cool? The data retriever, with one line of code, will fetch the data from any data source that has been specified or described with the data package specification from the Open Knowledge Foundation or International. And it will create the schemas, create the tables, clean up the data, and install it in your data sets, in your databases that you have used. And this is what it's doing right now. BBS is a data set that is bird survey data, and it's collected from different places in the world, and it's collecting all that data sets from all the states here, and it's installing them. Within a few minutes, you have all your data, and you can focus on research. So the data retriever is an open source package. We welcome any contributor, and it relies on the data package specification. This is a standard from the Open Knowledge International Foundation. It's written in Python 2 and Python 3. It has an R package, and we're building a Julia wrapper. It supports several database engines, database systems. We have MySQL, SQLite, Postgres. We have JSON. You can download your files in Excel or CVS files. And you can use R to download this, and also Python. And this is the team that has worked on this tool. I want you all to go down and look at these links and just try out the tool. It's a very nice tool. Thank you very much.
Golden idea, Henry. Thank you very much. All right. Last talk of the day is Justin. So.
If you've got a mountain of data, you've got a K9 for your K6. Those too obscure? Yeah. Unlike the other ones, right? Those were fine. Okay.
All right. With a show of hands, can I first ask, how many of you out there watch The Bachelor? Or The Bachelorette?
No
It's
one's
a safe
willing to
place.
admit.
You can raise your hands.
I will. Yeah.
I know one person who does.
Hi, Toby.
So even if you don't watch it, hopefully you get something out of this talk. So about 5 or 6 years ago, which is about 10 to 12 Bachelor seasons ago, I decided to start up a Bachelor Fantasy League with a bunch of friends. In the original way we did the scoring was we decided that you take the order people get roses throughout the show, reverse that, and you get points based on the reverse call-out order of when they get roses, and if they don't get a rose, they don't get any points. But what we ended up doing was I would take notes during the show every time there's a rose called out and manually put it into Excel right down here. This is from Juan Pablo's season, for those of you who know what's going on. And then I'd have a huge, long Excel lookup macro that did all the calculations, did the reverse ordering and everything, and eventually got the scoreboard, which I had to copy and paste into an email and send out to everyone. So this is obviously not the easiest thing to do, especially when it ends late on a Monday night, and I want to go to sleep, and I want to send everything out to everybody. So what to do? So it turns out that thanks to Wikipedia, somebody out there immediately after the show puts the rose call-out order on Wikipedia. So I said, well, maybe I can use Python and Beautiful Soup and reach out and scrape Wikipedia, pull out the rose order, and do that all without actually having to type anything in or take notes during the show. So I decided to do that. But how am I going to share this out with everybody in my fantasy league easily? Well, Plotly, I'd used before for a couple other things. I said, you can host this on a Plotly dashboard. So I did that. So let's see. So the code is here for the Plotly dashboard, and it just publishes them all to like my account on Plotly. And then I'm able to use their drag and drop features and make a dashboard which has the scoreboard and a couple of visualizations here. Then a few weeks ago, I got an email from Plotly that said, hey, we're releasing this new thing called Dash, which you can create your own web application just using Plotly and host it on like Heroku app or something like that. So I said, well, this sounds great. I don't have to send people to the Plotly website. It doesn't really load all that well on the phone when they were doing it. So I figured most of my 8 users were using it on their phone. So I took the same code that I used to create the Plotly applications, which is just made into a function called createFigure, and then basically imported Dash. And the code down here is the markdown text at the beginning, and then the table, chart, and deploy. So I will do that over here. This is when I'm doing it locally, I just run Python app.py, and it takes a second to spin up and go, so it's reaching out, scraping Wikipedia, getting the latest call out from this past Monday night episode. And then it takes a second. I can skip to this one, which is already open. And you've got your scoreboard. I brought a nice picture of Rachel, who's the current Bachelorette, the table, and these things. And I said, well, how am I going to deploy this to something not locally? I need to figure out how to do this on Heroku. Heroku is an easy place to deploy apps, and that was what was recommended by the Plotly Dash team. So I went back in the code, and in this separate file, app.py, I basically added from Flask, import Flask, and then identified the server that I'd named on Heroku, server equals server, and then changed the line from app.runServer debugger true equal true to app.server.run. So it's like 4 lines of code difference between the two. Let me go back over to this. And then you get pushed to a Heroku branch, which is living on Heroku, which is the way they deploy their applications. Everything's up to date because I haven't changed anything. And then it's a nice visitable URL, dash.bachelorette.rachel.herokuapp.com. You can all go to it. And it's available here for everyone to view. And it works well on the phone, and I'm planning to add many more great Plotly visualizations to this as well. Thank you.
Well, not everyone got a rose, but everyone did get a calls.
And with regards to that certain anonymous stranger that was updating the Wikipedia page, all I have to say is you're welcome.
All right, thank you everybody. That was day 2 of Lightning Talk. See you back here tomorrow, same time, I believe. And there are BOFs starting now. Let's give a hand to all of our speakers again.